Okay, let's talk about the second application of the remainder theorem. The remainder theorem is all about doing synthetic division and looking at the remainder, the last number. Now let's fill this in right here. When a binomial, which is a bi means 2, so something like x plus 5, that has 2 terms, so that's a binomial. Anything that has 2 terms. When a binomial divides evenly into a polynomial, the binomial is a factor. Now let's talk about what that means a little more. What does it mean to divide evenly? If it divides evenly, that means your remainder is 0. Excuse me, guys. So when a binomial has a remainder of 0, then we call that binomial a factor of the polynomial. So something right here. So let's say here's the big equation I've got. When I do synthetic division with this big equation and this factor, I get a remainder of 0, which means that is a factor of the big equation. So I could write the multiplication statement with the factor and my answer from synthetic division, and that times that would give you your big equation. So let's do one example of this. It says, show that x plus 8 is a factor of this equation. So what we want to do really is divide these. I want to do that. And if the remainder equals 0, then x plus 8 is a factor. So that's what I want to check. I want to see, is the remainder 0? If it is, then yes, it is a factor. We're going to do that very quickly using our synthetic division. So I set that up in my box. Now I list my coefficients. So I have 2, I have 15, positive 15. Doesn't look like I have any placeholders for this particular problem, so we should be good on that front. No placeholders. Now that I have the synthetic division set up for you, I want you to pause the video, try to do this synthetic division by yourself, and see what the remainder is in your answer. Welcome back. You should have gotten 2, -1, -3, 0. Now right away, because we have a 0 at the end, we know that this is a factor. So I went through and wrote out the answer, interpreting that answer like we talked about with synthetic division last time. I wrote out my answer, so I got 2x squared minus x minus 3. No remainder, no fraction part here. So that means that, yes, x plus 8 is a factor because I have no remainder. Now another way to write this answer, if x plus 8 is a factor, that means I can take my answer, times it by my factor, and I would end up with the big equation I started with. So that's what that remainder theorem means. I have that remainder 0, so I can take my answer times my factor and get the original equation. So that's all there is to the remainder theorem. You have synthetic substitution, plugging it in, your remainder is your answer, and you can use synthetic division and the remainder theorem to find factors of your big equation, basically making your big equation smaller into easier parts. So that's it for this lesson. You can go ahead and get started on your in-class practice for sticker as well as your Canvas assignment.